All right, welcome back. Today, we're demystifying a truly massive global industry in our latest explainer. We're looking ahead and breaking down the 2026 swimwear manufacturing landscape. The global swimwear market has completely transformed over the last few years. It's not just about aesthetics anymore, it is heavily driven by technical performance, sustainable materials like Repreve and Econil, and of course, rapid-fire supply chain agility. So, grab your notes and let's dive right into this. When you look at your absolute favorite swimsuit, do you know where it actually originated? For agile startups and massive established brands alike, sourcing from China remains the absolute gold standard, mostly due to its totally unparalleled textile infrastructure. But here is the core procurement challenge facing buyers today. How do you find a factory that perfectly balances startup-friendly minimum order quantities with true luxury-grade quality? It's a really tough tightrope to walk, but understanding exactly where these garments come from, well, that's step one to mastering it.
So here is our game plan for today. 1. Mapping production hubs. 2. Top niche manufacturers. 3. Critical sourcing workflows. And 4. Vetting factories and answering your FAQs.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, Mapping Production Hubs.
Look, China's swimwear production isn't just randomly scattered around the country. It's highly concentrated into 3 primary hubs. First up, we have Xinjiang up in the Liaoning province, which is literally known as the swimwear capital of the world. They focus heavily on high-volume, cost-effective goods. Second, down in Fujian province, specifically Xinjiang and Quanzhou, you're going to find the athletic and performance specialists. What's absolutely fascinating here is that they heavily leverage the local sports shoe and apparel ecosystem to create highly functional swimwear. And third, Dongguan and Foshan over in Guangdong form the premier hub for high-end boutique swimwear, offering superior original design manufacturing or ODM services.
Now, this illustrates a stark contrast that you absolutely need to understand for your specific business model. I mean, it's night and day. If you're building a fast fashion brand aimed at the mid-market where cost efficiency is everything, Liaoning is your destination. But if you're launching a premium boutique brand that requires complex embellishments, intricate cutouts, and superior ODM services, you must look to Guangdong. Choosing the wrong region for your business model will literally derail your brand before production even begins.
Moving right along to Section 2, Top Niche Manufacturers.
Okay, I highly recommend you take a screenshot of this matrix. Notice how perfectly it aligns lead times and target buyers with our production hubs. Fast fashion out of Liaoning offers incredibly short lead times. We're talking 20 to 35 days, with minimums as low as 50 pieces. Compare that to high-end ODM in Guangdong, which takes a solid 45 to 60 days to ensure premium quality for brand owners. Ultimately, your timeline and your target audience dictate your sourcing partner.
Let's zoom in closer on Guangdong for a second. Ability Fashion in Dongguan is super renowned for its design-forward approach, specializing in high-fashion bikinis and sustainable swimwear. Honestly, they're the perfect partner for premium brand owners taking a raw concept sketch all the way to a retail-ready product. They offer these massive fabric libraries, including high-end Italian Carvico and Vita fabrics, with a totally reasonable MOQ, or minimum order quantity, of just 100 to 200 pieces. And hey, if you're an even smaller boutique looking to drop frequent, trendy 50-piece collections with custom hardware, another Dongguan standout you should check out is Pretty Shiny Apparel.
Let's see how these hubs compare in action, out in the wild. Jinki Apparel over in Xinjiang represents the ultimate efficiency of the Liaoning cluster. They're ideal for Amazon or TikTok shop brands testing out trendy, seasonal prints with fast turnarounds and super low capital risk. We're talking just 50 to 100 pieces to start. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum is Unijoy in Fujian. They're your top-tier choice for competitive swimming, offering chlorine-resistant fabrics, UPF 50+ UV protection, and intense compression gear. Because of this high-spec athletic focus, they cater to bulk buyers needing highly consistent sizing, so their minimums generally sit at around 500+ pieces.
Of course, we also have some incredible specialty manufacturers to consider. As ESG priorities continue to skyrocket globally, Isun Swimwear in Zhejiang has successfully pivoted to recycled ocean plastics and GRS-certified materials. They provide the full certification paths that are basically essential for EU and US markets these days. Now, on an entirely different technical front, Risun Manufacturing back in Guangdong is a heavy hitter for complex OEM customization. If you need advanced laser cutting, high-tech seamless bonding machinery, and 100% design exclusivity, Risun is definitely your high-tech partner.
All right, that brings us to Section 3, Critical Sourcing Workflows.
If you remember one number from this explainer, make it 180 to 220. Swimwear is a highly functional garment, and you absolutely must know your fabric specs. For quality swimwear, you need a GSM, that's grams per square meter, of 180 to 220. Additionally, demand a color fastness of grade 4 or higher against chlorine and salt water. I mean, you want to make sure your suits don't just fade away after one single beach trip, right? And always ask for Ocotec Standard 100 certification to ensure absolutely no harmful chemicals are touching your customer's skin.
Listen, in swimwear, fit is absolutely everything. Startups fail all the time because they get impatient, they try to rush, and they skip steps in the sampling workflow. It is a strict 3-step sequence. First, the proto sample tests the basic shape and fit using whatever available fabric the factory happens to have lying around. Second, the fit sample dials in the exact measurements from your tech pack. Finally, the PPS, or pre-production sample. This is the holy grail. It's your final gold sample, in the correct fabric and correct color. Never, ever allow mass production to start without a signed PPS in your hands.
Another massive workflow trap is confusing MOQ and MCQ. MOQ is minimum order quantity. That's the total pieces per style. MCQ, on the other hand, is minimum color quantity. That's the minimum pieces per color, which is almost always dictated by the massive size of the fabric dye vat. Now, here is a pro tip to take away from this explainer. If you want to lower your total initial investment but still hit those high fabric minimums, use the exact same fabric and exact same color across 3 completely different styles in your collection. It's a total game changer.
Okay, let's wrap things up with Section 4, vetting factories and FAQs.
Look, if you cannot just hop on a flight to China to visit the factory in person, this right here is your remote vetting checklist for your RFQ. First, ask them about their machine inventory. Do they have 4-needle 6-thread flatlock machines? This is absolutely non-negotiable if you want high-quality chafe-free seams. Second, ask for video proof of their in-house quality control. Specifically, you want to see lightbox color testing and stretch recovery testing in action. Finally, verify their export experience. They have to understand the strict US and EU labeling requirements for things like care instructions and fiber content percentages.
Let's anchor our expectations in reality for a second regarding costs. Can you find manufacturers offering unit prices of $1 to $3? Sure, yes, but only for low-quality, super generic items, usually pumped out of Xinjiang. If you want a true brand-ready product with high-quality lining and decent elasticity, you really should expect your landed unit costs to be between $6 and $12, depending on how complex your design is. Please do not fall for the unrealistic $1 illusion.
And that naturally brings us to the logistics timeline, which is heavily dictated by the calendar. Swimwear is deeply seasonal. You should ideally place your orders in September or October to ensure a February or March delivery, just in time for that spring/summer rush. You must plan around the Chinese New Year period in January and February. During this time, factories completely shut down, and the ports become a heavily congested nightmare. Missing this ordering window basically means missing your entire selling season.
A frequently asked question we see all the time is, why is the MOQ for custom printed fabric so incredibly high? Well, the reality is most fabric mills require 500 to 1,000 meters for custom dyeing or screen printing. If you're a startup, that is a massive financial hurdle. But there's a perfect, low minimum alternative: digital sublimation printing. It has virtually no minimum meterage, and it allows you to test out super vibrant custom prints without having to buy out massive dye vats.
So, we arrive at our final thought. The label made in China is still perceived incredibly well in the high-end swimmer industry. Why? Because the technical skill level for handling notoriously difficult fabrics like lycra and spandex, especially down in Guangdong, is honestly higher than almost any other region globally. The infrastructure is there, the materials are there, and the elite factories are just waiting. So the only question left is, with the map, the compass, and the workflows now in your hands, is your brand truly ready for mass production? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.